Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today we are going to be breaking down my favorite charts, going over the long term of Bitcoin, talking about the altcoins, and mapping out exactly where I think that we're going to be headed in the short term. We have seen Bitcoin recapture support, and this is exactly what we needed to see for a reversal. Now that this is playing out, it's time that we break down the charts, explaining what they're telling us so that we can be best positioned to capitalize on any of the momentum moving forward ahead. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are to start off today's video, taking a look at Bitcoin, and as you guys can see, yesterday we were consolidating back below this resistance. The last few days we've been consolidating below it, wondering whether this was going to act as a resistance before we fall lower to some of these lower support levels down in here, or whether we were going to be able to actually recapture this level and come back into support. And as you guys can see, the market bounced, we've broken back above, and this is most likely going to end up acting as support once again. So when we're looking at this, even if we see a pullback, we got to remember that as long as we're sitting above this range, we're most likely going to be looking at a reversal. This is a very important point of support. Any consolidation of us above, I think, will ultimately result in us going into a new high, and that's most likely what's about to be playing out over the next little while. We got to keep in mind, guys, that the institutions have been buying Bitcoin. BlackRock has only been buying Bitcoin throughout this sell-off. It's been Grayscale that's been dumping it. So as Grayscale is now supposedly out of their Bitcoin, they're no longer going to be dumping it anymore. Not out completely, obviously, but I mean, they're done dumping what they're going to be selling. We're starting to see the market reversing. So coming onto a higher time frame, I do believe that this is the early sign that momentum is swinging to the bullish favor. With this happening on a Thursday, don't be surprised if this weekend ends up being a pretty profitable time for altcoins and they actually start to run pretty hard. Now guys, coming over here, I wanted to once again look at the total altcoin market cap because this is more or less showing what I think is taking place. Now, we don't even have to correct this long all the way going here. We might actually just start, consolidating back up like this and following a much quicker pace. We don't have to have some sort of lengthy correction like this. But with what we're seeing right now with Bitcoin recapturing support, showing a lot of strength, post ETF, Grayscale's done dumping, we can only assume that this is most likely going to end up going higher from here. And I think that most people are expecting it to go lower, only for a lot of these people to very soon get priced out entirely. So when we're looking at these, we got to keep in mind that if this runs a little bit quicker and you don't have all of this time to accumulate, you're better off accumulating now regardless. You're better off getting into your positions that you want to hold long term, because the sooner that you're in, the better you qualify for long-term capital gains. So there's a few different factors in here if you're from America or if you're from some of these other countries where you're going to have to get taxed and things. So just be aware of this. What we're looking at big picture is just the very beginning of this new cycle, guys. And the way I have this drawn, even though this shows us coming all the way back down to a new low, I don't think that's going to be the case. We're more or less just going to be looking at something along the lines of this. And it'll probably go even higher than what I have drawn. Don't be surprised. But we're at the very beginning stages of this. We just saw the institutions kind of come in here. That could be this first sell-off that we've been talking about. We don't necessarily have to correct sideways all throughout here. We might end up just getting one more high. Maybe we come up to here in the total market cap of altcoins before we see that sort of next pullback. We might end up just making higher highs and higher lows rather than having a big rounded bottom accumulation. I don't care which order it ends up taking. We know that by understanding the long-term trend, that if this is about to happen, we just want to have our positions ready to go, packed, and holding for the length of the cycle. Now guys, I wanted to cover one of my favorite ecosystems going into this next cycle, and one that I think has genuine 100x potential across the board on every single one of these altcoins we're going to be talking about today. And I don't mean that, just trying to pump bags or anything like that whatsoever. I'll tell you guys exactly where I bought all of these. I have nothing to hide with all of this, considering we've been talking about Metis since all the way back down in here. It was the end of the year, beginning of 2023, when I started accumulating this. So we've been covering this forever and ever and ever, and a lot of you guys already hold a lot of these. Now with what we're seeing in a lot of these coins, they're pretty much just at the points of support. They're retesting these levels. It's looking like many of these are going to end up making one more high. For specifically talking about Metis, I think it's going to be coming up to this $180 range. And so if Metis is going to be going in for another leg up, I think the real opportunity and potential comes in accumulating some of these low caps built on the Metis chain. Because guys, there's a huge fundamental reason why we're going to see so much adoption happening here. And it's because not only do they have the backing of ETH and, Vitalik's mom is the lead developer over here and all of that stuff, but they also have all of the hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Metis tokens that they're going to be distributing back into these early projects that are most of them are worth sub $20 million market cap. So as they're getting hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Metis in the form of these grants just given to them, they're going to be injecting those back into their ecosystems. They're going to be upping yield. They're going to be able to provide so much more liquidity for the ecosystem. And as the price of Metis goes up, the amount of money that they've just given them also continues to increase in value. So we're going to see some type of explosive cycle taking place in this. And I think that the best thing we can do, it only has sub 500 million market cap. It's still, just a mid-cap crypto. I think that this could very easily 100x from this level, even after it breaking out. I think that most likely people that bought at the bottom down here are going to be looking closer to multi-hundreds to maybe even 1000x. And I don't mean that, just trying to pump bags. I genuinely believe that Metis is one of the very best altcoins you could possibly hold going into this next cycle. Now, the first coin we're talking about today on Metis is going to be Hera. This is a multi-chain DEX aggregator, and basically what we're looking at right here, and from my last video, we were pumping inside of this move, but what we've always been doing is basically just building this ascending support. This is a parabolic trend that we're building. We have inclining volume, inclining price, very consistent sort of uptrend that you would expect to see. And I think that this one showing such a significant period of accumulation, this is vertical type accumulation. When we're looking at a lot of the other altcoins on Metis, you're not going to see this type of accumulation. And I think that this is a sign. There's a reason why this thing only ever makes higher highs and higher lows. It's never not made a higher high and higher low. The whole entire time it's been going up, besides maybe, I guess, over in this period. But looking at this one is building a much bigger foundation of a parabolic support than I think any of the other ones really are. And I think that we can't really, fade this one as it's sitting back on this support level. It's looking like another retest. Most likely this ends up bouncing from here. From where we're at right now to the range high, you're looking at almost a 1x. So, I mean, the ROI potential is still really good in a lot of these. It only has $21.5 million market cap. So most all of these are very undervalued. And these are going to be the projects that get the grants when the things go live. Now, next up is going to be NetSwap. This one is going to be the main swap platform or DEX on the Metis blockchain. It's the oldest one. It's been around for a while. When Metis was really taking off in the last cycle, this one also was following it. And the reason I love this, if we come and zoom all the way out here, look at how beautiful this looks. I like to maybe go to a line chart. Maybe it'll help us visualize it. Maybe not. But either way, what we're looking at here, we had all this volume coming in here from the last cycle. All of this massive volume. It was breaking out. Metis was blowing up like crazy in the last cycle. And then it had this massive bear market. Everything fully retraced and went down 99.999% basically. But if we notice, we have all of this new volume that came in here. We have a significant amount of breakout volume in here. And for the price to just be making this little first higher high, basically retesting right around this prior level, we're looking at this thing really starting to take off from here. And the great thing about holding these type of projects is they are going to be receiving the biggest grants. And so with this one being worth 9 million total market cap, could you imagine if it got like 30 or 5 to 10 million? Let's just be realistic. It could even be way more than that. I don't know how much they're going to get, but if they got 5 to 10 million dollars worth of Metis tokens given to them, it will probably be more than that. Could you imagine how much that's going to add to the overall project when it's actually doubling their entire market cap just in value that they're going to be able to inject in liquidity? I just think that these are huge opportunities. And looking at just to a prior all-time high, 52x approximately. These are some that are going to provide life-changing gains, and people that fade these that are unwilling to bridge over to Metis and buy some of these, I just simply think you're going to be really mad at yourself considering it's really easy money to do so. Next up is going to be Hermes. This is one that we were talking about, and last time we were talking about it, we were consolidating up here, and I said how it is possible that this could be an ABC correction before we make one more low, and that's exactly what we ended up doing here. All this is a breakout of our downtrend. Massive new volume, more volume in this move, below prior all-time highs than what we saw at the all-time highs. That's always an early signal that this thing's about to go up like crazy. So if we're looking at what the price is right now just to the range highs, you're looking at like 1.4x almost. And if we go just to the range or the prior all-time highs, you're looking at like a 3x. This is one that's setting up for a brand new all-time high. Like, I cannot stress enough how this is just going to basically teleport into a new all-time high once it's ready to go. We already have the volume to line up with that. So these are the type that you don't want to fade, considering all they're really doing is breaking out of the downtrend. This is a market cycle, right, guys? This is my favorite thing to follow. You have this big parabolic move, the blow off top, then generally you have these ABC corrections. Once they bottom out and they start making their first higher highs and higher lows, once the price breaks out of the downtrend, you can either buy down in here and risk potentially it going for lower lows and dying, or you can wait for the breakout and get confirmation. We have the confirmation both ways, whether you bought the bottom and you're up a lot like a genius, or whether you're buying in right here. It's not that much higher. All we're doing is retesting our first real support. This is our first support and resistance flip of the new cycle. I can't stress enough how it's more or less just going to do pretty much something like that. So I think you should definitely be watching out for Hermes. Next up is going to be Metis. This is a fork of GMX. Absolutely one of the best projects on the market if you're looking to leverage trade any of these sort of things. You can also provide liquidity and then earn some of the fees that are generated inside of the deck. So when we're looking at this one, it had a pretty nasty pullback in here, but I do think we're at the point of bottoming. You know, we ended up coming back below our range highs, but if we come to a weekly time frame, we're not that far below them. This is still just going to end up acting as a retest, in my opinion. We have a lot of volume in here, you know, a lot more consistent volume than a lot of the volume that was than a lot of the volume we saw when the market was clearing the heck up here. So when we're comparing the two, we're at a completely different point, but we have all of the breakout volume. For where we're at right now, you know, just to the next resistance, it's almost a 3x, but this is one that I think is most likely going to run all the way up to a potential 5x and beyond, because like I said, guys, they have such small market caps, and this one's fully diluted. So once the market really starts running, once the grants get approved, once they get distributed, that's just going to absolutely send these things. And I think that the market will run before that, considering they broke out on the news that all of this was coming out. Metis broke out, and then everybody was like, oh my gosh, these grants that are coming out are worth like $500 million now. And all the ecosystem tokens were worth like 100 times less than that. So that's why I think the real value is going to be made buying some of these projects built on it. Maybe not so much Metis itself, but dude, 400 million market cap, 450, 60 million, that's not very much, and I can't stress that enough. It's really 100x is a possibility from this level. It'll be really crazy, but I think that this is the perfect project to be able to do that long term. Now, next up is going to be Cronus. Cronus is the first reflection token built on the Metis chain. So basically, by holding Cronus, you get Cronus airdrop straight to your wallet. It's a reflection token, meaning that they take a fee off of the market. There's a buy and sell tax. That buy and sell tax goes back to the holders themselves in the form of Cronus. So it's actually a way that you can make more Cronus by holding it. As people buy it, as the volume picks up, you actually make more Cronus as it's going up at the same time. So these things end up flywheeling pretty crazy a lot of the time, and it only has 470k market cap. To me, it just retested the prior high. We have great volume, very consistent volume all the way throughout here. This is looking like it's finding support again. Most likely, I think we're about to be running to those new all-time highs, and then this thing's going to go into price discovery. When we're looking at charts like this, it's just at the very beginning of a parabolic rally. And at 470k market cap, you know, 10x is very reasonable. I think it could 100x from this level for sure if we get a lot more, you know, Metis hype and everything kind of takes off. This isn't going to qualify for a grant most likely or anything like that. It could, but that's not why we're watching this. This one is going to be a little bit more of a risky play, but I think it's a great one. I've already generated a pretty decent amount of Cronus, and I'm just going to keep holding this one because I genuinely expect it's going to take off in a big way. So watch out for this one. Last one on today's video is going to be a meme coin that could potentially have the most upside potential on all of them on the list, considering it has 90,000 total market cap. There is 15k liquidity, so I mean, it's not terrible, but this one is going to be an absolute, you know, micro cap. But I like it. I do like the setup that we're seeing. It's got a good community. I talked to the guy that's actually developing it. So I have heard a little bit about what is going on, but not much. I do think that big picture, with these meme coins, these are the type that have good communities. There's people supporting them. When they end up flying, you know, a 10x is pretty reasonable. These are the type that end up hitting, you know, 30, 50, 100x relatively quickly. And I'm not saying that that's guaranteed. This thing could actually rug pull, and I don't know for sure. I'm invested personally. I'm actually at a... I'm honestly at a loss considering I bought this at 109k market cap, so I almost bought the exact top. So you guys are actually getting in at it at a better price than what I did. Now guys, with anything having this type of a market cap, it's obviously going to present the most risk, so just be forewarned. Only invest what you're willing to lose. These two are going to be probably the most risky on the list considering they have the lowest market cap, but they also have the most upside potential if things start to run. The other ones on the list, Metis, Hermes, NetSwap, and Hera and even Metis, these are all safe picks in my opinion. Those are all like the blue chips of Metis. You can't go wrong holding those. I'd probably get a portfolio built around those before I'd ever venture out into anything else. But if you only have $50 to throw at something and see if, it takes off. You can't really go wrong with buying stuff that's at 90K market cap, considering that's where the real potential of you to make a lot of upside potential lies. So with that being said, guys, this is the video. Wanted to break things down. I will link some of this stuff inside of the description so you can find it. With that being said, I appreciate the support so very much. I appreciate everybody that watches this channel, that, clicks on these videos. I love to produce them for you guys. It just makes me happy to be able to cover these markets because I know we're all about to make a lot of money. This is genuinely one of my favorite ecosystems. I think is all about to profit, substantially over the next couple years, and we're still at a very undervalued point. So I wanted to break some stuff down. If you guys did like this and want to see, where I'm buying these things long term, where we had entries going into my Discord, what new altcoins on Metis I'm going to be buying, links are in the description to go ahead and check out my website. From my website, you're going to be able to sign up for my private group. It's just a one-time payment and then lifetime access. So once you're in, you'll always have access and you'll be able to see anything I'm doing in the market long term, even if I take crypto profits and move into the stock market and start doing other stuff that way. With that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in. I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.